Guten Tag, bonjour, hola, hi, I'm Eugene with Darkroom Software. In this video, we are going to be talking about language and specifically translation. We've added some new options within Darkroom Booth to update the language for non-English speaking customers. What this means is the text that's hard-coded in the software, you can now set your default or even a screen button to update. So let's go ahead and jump right in and see exactly what I'm talking about. Hi, before we get started, I wanted to go over something I thought might be pretty helpful. And because we're talking about language, I want to talk about closed captioning and language translation within YouTube. So if you are a non-English speaker, I know it can be a little bit difficult to keep up with the video and the dialogue. So in YouTube, you can go, and I've recently started adding closed captioning, so you can enable it. YouTube also has an option for auto captions. So this is the captions that I'm generating. You can auto generate the captions, and you can also auto translate. So if my preferred language was, let's say, Spanish, I can scroll right down here till I find Spanish, and it will auto translate to Spanish so I can read along with the video rather than trying to keep up in a language that's not my native language. So I thought that'd be helpful. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're gonna look at is right here. I have my language demo event. If I double click on it, I can now set the default language. And for an example, we're gonna go ahead and choose German. And we're gonna start the event. Now the default language is set to German, so whenever I click start, now this text right here is still in English, and there's a reason for that. But whenever I go to share, anything that's hard coded in is now in German. I go ahead and click OK. And the reason why this text right here is still in English is because it's set under the text menu. So the idea behind that is that if you are in a country and you primarily speak one language, more than likely you've already updated this text specifically for that language. And we don't know what text you have in here, so there's no way for us to build in those translations based on what you have here, because if you click on a different event, you'll see that that text changes each time. So the reason for that and why it doesn't show, we have it's because it can be updated in the text menu. Now let's say you are in a border town similar to me. I'm close to San Antonio. There are a lot of Spanish speaking people here. So if let's say I do an event like Quinceañera where they primarily are going to be speaking Spanish, but some people are going to speak English, then I might have a event set to the primary language of Spanish or primary English with an option set to choose Spanish. So let's look at my screen template and hit that. So you'll see that I have two different Mexican flags specifically for a reason. So if I click on this button, it's going to set the language to the Spanish language. So let's look to see where it's getting that information from. If I click on a folder and I go to my X drive and then translate, you can see I have this file right here. Software includes German, English, French, Dutch, and Spanish. And then there's a guide file right here. So you can see that I've added two additional ones. So if I lived in a country that spoke a language that was not included, I can create my own translation file. And here's an example right here of one for surfer. So accept is translated to sweet. No is set to no way. Please wait. Hold up, bro. So you can see how that can be changed. The other thing I want to show you is that the different versions of text. So if you look at this, I have Spanish versus this one has ES for Espanol. So I have an additional language file that I created. I duplicated this one, renamed it, and I've added those pieces of text from the text menu. So tap to start to begin. You can see that it matches up with this text right here. Look at the camera. Thanks for stopping by. I've added them and done a translation so that when it sees this text, it'll automatically update. So that's a way that you can update this text from the text menu. So we'll go ahead and click Start Booth and see that in action. So we're clicking on this one that's using the text file that I created or duplicated and updated. So you can see now it now has a Spanish version of look at the camera. My Spanish is not that great, so I'm not even gonna try. But that is the new options within Darkroom Booth 3 for language. You can update the text that's hard coded in, as well as the text from the text menu. And to see if you're on the current version or a version that supports this, if you're looking in the future, you can look right here to see whether you have this option for language. If you set it to Windows default, it's going to use the default language set by your operating system, Windows. So more than likely, that's what most people are going to do. So we know there are different versions of language, not only based on country, but also region. An example would be in Texas, we say y'all, versus outside of Texas, you might use you all or you guys. So it's okay to create your own file specific for the way you speak or a group of people that you are catering to, the way they speak. So you would just go to the closest lookup table, duplicate it or open it, and then save it as a new file. These are all read only, so you can't save over, and you really don't want to. They're there as kind of a template and a sample, but you would create your own, save it as a new file, and then you can update it with whatever mannerisms and ways of speaking that you use or you would use regionally. So a little bit of a backstory. My parents were in the US Air Force. I was born in Germany. My mom, her family comes from Mexico, so she's 100% Mexican. I'm 50% born in Germany. I spent some time in Europe, so I've traveled to every one of these countries, along with quite a few others. My stepmom is Thai. She's from Thailand, so I've visited Thailand and traveled around Asia a little bit. So just a little bit of backstory about me. But to all my friends out there across the world, gracias, dankeschön, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching. Here are a couple of videos that YouTube thinks that you might enjoy. Be sure to like, subscribe, but more importantly, if there's something you want to learn a little bit more about, comment below this video and I'll do my best to add it as a future video. I'll see you in the next one.